Greetings, gang. Welcome to a well overdue edition of Coach Brad's YouTube Q&A, where I take your questions and comments that you put on my specific YouTube vlogs and I answer them. So this particular series is from episode 29 on to my most recent one, episode 36. And this one here is Delt dominant training. So quite a bit of comments on this one, actually. And one thing I wanted to thank you all for is all the kind comments that you all have here. So, all right, we're going to start here with Fossil Fusion. This is Chris. Chris, appreciate all of your support of 3D Muscle Journey. And he's curious about the Billy Funk Memorial Home Gym. And if it's on a second floor, what kind of floor do I have? So I don't live in a two-story house, but it may as well be. I mean, I could easily finish the bottom of my house underneath here because I live on a hill that's about like this, and then the house is like this. So there's all kinds of pedestals and things like that down there. It's pretty strong down there, but just out of extreme caution, I built a platform right in my spare bedroom. So ripped out all the carpet, put 4-foot by 8-foot pieces of plywood, two this way, and then two on top of it this way. So it's kind of doubly reinforced, I guess you might say, and then I carpeted all the way around it. So that, in addition to the bumper plates that I use when I'm deadlifting, I feel pretty safe. But I do frequently go down there just to make sure that everything is staying in place. The dumbbell fly into press that Jeff does has been great for me at home with the shoulder issue. And yeah, I agree that you kind of pre-exhaust with the flies and then kind of bring those dumbbells in and then just press until you can't do it anymore. Crazy pump on that one, Sam Anderson. So do your arms go out to 45 degrees on those rear delt flies? Are those your go-to minimal equipment rear delt exercise? So kind of keep in mind when it comes to rear delts, rows, train your rear delts as well. In the evidence-based space, every set of rows that you do, we count that as rear delt work as well. So the rear delt exercise that I do, that specifically that rear delt lateral, that isolates the rear delts, but you are training your rear delts on all of your rows too. That's just kind of my finisher, I guess you might say. And if you're talking about there, Ron, if I'm out not 45 degrees this way, no, I'm not. Because I always cue, I kind of feel back there on my rear delts. And I kind of play around and I cue where I feel the rear delt firing the best. And so this is something I learned from my good friend Alberto Nunez. Once I figure it out and I can feel the rear delt firing, then I just kind of I kind of warm that area up, make sure that I'm kind of hitting that. And that's the plane that I do it in. Out here, I don't really feel it. It's kind of more tricep. Okay. It's right in that plane right there is kind of where I feel the rear delt firing the best. This here, Peter Farr, this really got me, my friend. I'm honored, but also feel unworthy for you to pitch into a GoFundMe for me to help pay for my gym membership. I've got I'm just fine in my little home gym. So I appreciate that. And thank you for the kind thoughts. Why all those upright rows? You'd be better off with good form lateral raises. Well, first of all, I have a rear delt strain injury that I obtained on my last bench press at the US APL Masters World Cup in May of last year. So the upright row is the only exercise that I could do pain-free. And it did not matter what the implement. I could do cable, I could do dumbbell, I could do barbell. I become a master at upright rows because it's the only medial delt exercise that I can do pain-free. I have graduated to doing a side laying cross body dumbbell raise. And to be honest with you, I feel like you're better off with a well-rounded program for training and building a specific body part. I feel like good form lateral raises is part of the equation, but good form lateral raises along with an overhead press, an upright row, even varying the resistance through having a good form lateral raise with a dumbbell, well, the resistance is predominantly out here away from you, as well as a cable that crosses the body and the dumbbell that crosses the body where the resistance is almost immediate and right off the bat. I feel like that is well-rounded and that you're better off with than just good form lateral raises. All righty, gang, episode 30, glute hamstring training. This is an interesting idea here. Basically kind of using a straight bar and roll it, out in front of me while I'm doing those. The only thing is it's pretty tight on space there. And like you, I have done that before in the lat pull down station when I had a lat pull down station. But yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea as well. And so, yeah, here's some additional nice comments that I appreciate and keeps me coming back here. So thank you for that, you guys. Episode 31. So good news, guys. My bench press is coming back. I actually bench pressed 250 for a very doable single, pain-free. The other day, I had to narrow up the grip, as I indicated in that vlog, about a finger width on each side, maybe even 2 finger widths. But a question on here, I went through here and actually answered these questions. I don't hardly remember doing this, but that's a product of being 53 years old now. But this question here, is it only for time saving that you do MYO reps, or is there science behind that you can rebuild faster? This I don't know about, to be honest with you, Pop Alex. But here is my reasoning for doing MYO reps on my bench press. So after I finish that heavy single, basically what I'm trying to do, one of the reasons that I injured my infraspinatus is that A, I had a wide grip, and B, when the rep got tough, I would tend to essentially kind of try to cheat the bar up a little bit, and I would lose my shoulder tightness. And with the MYO reps, I'm always very close to that last rep, like on a 2-rep max, or like that heavy single that I'm going for that's going really slow, and I have to stay tight, but it's with a lighter load. And so I'm staying in that sweet spot of I gotta make sure that I keep my shoulders packed, that I don't lose my focus and try to cheat the bar up. And I can do that with light weight, with a lot of practice and a lot of repetitions. And so that's the reason I'm doing it. It's more so a technique builder than kind of anything that's more science based. Episode 32, my favorite squat WOD, workout of the day WOD, and this was inspired by an episode on the 3DMJ podcast that we did on gaming your training. Something I've done for quite a while. Actually, I kind of got this idea from watching CrossFit athletes and how they do kind of like timed events and who can finish a series of events in the fastest time, right? I'm just going to comment on a couple of the questions here. So this is a great question here. Given what you're living there, what would cause more growth in your quads? 3x8 with 250 or 8x3 with 300? I think in most individuals, the slight edge might be to 3x8 with 250. It's more repetitions, right? However, remember that it's always the sets and then also that proximity to failure that is primary drivers of hypertrophy. And so here, while you might get more effort 3x8 with 250, ultimately you're getting 8 sets here with 300 versus 3 sets here with 250. And for me individually, when it comes to effort, 8x3 with 300, I mean, I'm only looking at I could probably do 8, so we're looking at 5 reps in reserve with 300, maybe 9. So we're looking at, 5, 6 reps in reserve. If I keep doing those sets, by the end, I've probably only got maybe 2 or 3 reps in reserve. However, with 3x8 with 250, that's not only 3 sets, but I mean, I could arguably get 15 repetitions, maybe more with 250. And now we're looking at 7 or more repetitions in reserve on that first set. So not only for me is this less sets than this, it's also lower RPE. So for me, I kind of feel like this is going to be more hypertrophic. Lastly, this one here, this is a cautionary tale. Here we have Aurelius 9, I think that's 9. In all likelihood, a troller, but a cautionary tale. I mean, this person is offering me advice here in a very authoritative tone without any context at all. Lose the belt. So I'm a 53-year-old man that was born with spina bifida, has a spondylolisthesis and severe scoliosis, and you're going to tell me to lose the belt. Do not Valsalva. So he's telling me with all of those spine issues to not bear down and brace. It's a cautionary tale. When offering advice on this kind of a platform without any context at all, without knowing at all the person that you're dealing with. I mean, I know well enough that this is terrible advice, but there are people out there that are a bit naive, a bit more new to the game, and they might take this advice and then end up hurting themselves. And I mean, yeah, what are you out? Nothing. You're not at risk. You're not going to get sued. You've done nothing except caused the injury of another person. So when you're offering advice, be careful about what you offer. And then also when you're taking advice, know that the person that's giving you advice in all likelihood knows nothing about you. William Alexandri. I don't know. This here almost sounds like German volume training, to be honest with you. Look it up, GVT. Not really sure because this doesn't exactly follow the GVT setup. But yeah, if anybody else knows, go ahead and throw that in here. I started being mic'd up during my training. This is where I knocked a hole in my wall and I had a nice win. My bench press, I'm actually, as of this episode here, I'm actually flat benching again and building strength back up. I'm hoping to compete in USAPL powerlifting competition again. So on this particular episode, not too many questions here. Kind comments, as always, thank you very much. But this is the one that I wanted to address. Might be a dumb question, but Brad, would you consider using BPC 157 for any strain or injury? To be honest with you, I have never heard of BPC 157. I had to look it up. To answer this question in a very concise, no, not at all. The World Anti-Doping Agency has prohibited the use of this substance. There's not enough human trials, etc. So yeah, I'm certainly not going to use it, especially considering that I'm going to probably compete at some point in a drug-tested federation this year. Episode 35, kind of my time-saving systems. Again, my EMOMs. On this particular episode here, what about using rest pause sets? I mean, basically that's what I'm doing. I'm just giving myself a little bit more time between my rest pause sets, but it's the same basic idea, to be honest with you there, Adam. And then Joseph here, cutting rest time is not the way, and it's strange to see it here after all the indications to not do that. I got to give props to you, Joseph, because basically you took exactly out of mass what they recommend, specifically what Greg Nichols, everything you need to know about rest intervals, volume 6, issue 4, and the application and takeaways. He says, short rest intervals still have their place in various program strategies, such as rest, pause, and antagonist superset training. So again, Joseph, let's not think in terms of black and white here. What I'm doing is not, it should not be demonized. Since you are a MASS member, I want to point you to another one of Greg's studies, volume 2, issue 8, where he essentially talks about, rest pause sets. And if 1 minute of rest is required, why is it that MYO reps and DC training is so darn effective? Just not black and white thinking, just kind of want to keep an open mind. All righty, gang, last one, episode 36. Again, another good kind of an EMOM workout that I did with my deadlift. Bro's length of motion is the length of his kneecap. Another one here, which pretty much hit the nail on the head. You have really long arms, which I do. Not only do I have really long arms, but because of my scoliosis, when I was in high school, I was 5'11". But I have actually shrunk since that time, since my back has gotten more and more crooked. And I'm like 5'8 3/4" now. So when you watch my RDLs, I'm going well below my kneecap. I mean, let's face it, my kneecap does not go down that low, right? But because I have arms that were made for an individual that is supposed to be 5'11", yet I'm 5'8", the bar goes down and my range of motion is a lot more than it looks, right? However, it's also the length and partial that makes it look like I'm not getting, much in the way of range of motion, which I'm not too concerned about. Doing strictly length and partials is just as good as range of motion. And in this particular case, the length and partials saves me from back aches, pains, strains, and my quadratus lumborum. And I have seen this year and in the year of 2024, a lot of people make significant changes to their physique using strictly length and partials, like not even using the short and partial at all in some cases. This one here, Mike Microshop. He's already got some correction here, but yes, you're kind of thinking backwards there, my friend. A shortened partial is when the muscle is contracted, right? So in the case of an RDL, the shortened range would be from standing upright to just barely moving here. The lengthened portion is when you are stretching the hamstring and the glute more, which essentially is in that position there. My hamstring is more stretched, my glute is more stretched. That is the lengthened portion, and not the shortened portion being when you're up at the top. So this person here and this person here were correcting you because your thinking was backwards on that. And Seth here, my friend, that is another episode of Coach Brad's YouTube Q&A. Hopefully you found that to be beneficial, and hopefully that is something that you can use in your training as well.